Welcome to Worldview Tube's Washington Report on this November 11th, 2025. I'm joined now by my co-host, Jim Pfaff of the Conservative Caucus.org. Jim, how you doing?
I'm doing well. By the way, November 12th.
November 12th.
November 11th.
November 12th. Well, I got some good clips today. We got some kind of a wide range. We have some Trump clips, some Kristi Noem, some Scott Bessent, and then we have... I can't even remember her name. That's how Jasmine Crockett has been out there.
Don't forget the Bernie Sanders one I sent you. That's an interesting one too.
Bernie Sanders as well. Well, yeah. Let's start out with, I guess we'll start out with what's been, making some waves on social media, and that is Trump and Laura Ingraham. We played the clip last night of Trump talking about the Chinese students coming over, the 600,000, which has been happening, right? And he's just saying we're going to continue doing it. Well, last night she asked him about the H1B program, and here's what he had to say.
Thing will not be a big priority for your administration, because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent.
We have plenty of talented people here.
No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here.
No, you don't have certain talents, and people have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment line and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles, or I'm going to put
How did we ever do it before? H1B visa thing will not be a...
Well, that is causing a lot of stir on social media and X tonight, or last night and today.
Yeah, listen, absolutely, there are parts of the MAGA movement that are saying, what are you doing here? Get rid of H1B. It's a total scam. The H1B program is being scammed. There's no doubt about that. I mean, there need to be reforms, massive reforms in the H1B program. But I have to respectfully disagree and say we're in a really bad state in our education system. There are a lot of brilliant and talented, capable engineers, mathematicians, STEM in general. We do produce a lot of excellent and well-skilled people in the STEM skills. But the reality is we're not doing enough of it because our education system is crazy. It's bad. I mean, it really is a problem. I worked for Thomas Massie. He was a naturally brilliant engineer and mathematician. Mostly engineer. Those two things don't typically go together. Mathematicians are a different breed, but you have to be good in mathematics to be good in engineering. And he excelled coming out of a county that there have only been, Lewis County, Kentucky, there have only been 3 MIT graduates from that county. It's he, his now deceased wife, and his son. That's it. Because we have this dearth of training towards these skills here in the United States. And it is a real problem, and it has to be addressed. We need to get rid of the government monopoly over schools. That is the biggest reason why Donald Trump is in part correct in his assessment. We've got to change our school system, and it's not going to turn things around overnight. But what the sad downfall in the United States, where in the 1950s and 60s, when we started up the NASA and the space program, you didn't need to go overseas to try to find people skilled in engineering and mathematics and all those things necessary. We dominated the world in these things. Now, you had great mathematics skills in people in Asia back then as well, but nowhere near the engineering capability that we had. Now, those capabilities and skills are available worldwide and on a lesser scale here in the United States. We need to change that. So Donald Trump, in the basic part of his analysis, is right. We don't have enough skilled people to do these things. That said, the H-1B program has been greatly abused. It does affect the outcomes of skilled people from here in the United States. It does replace opportunities. So I think reform's in order, but to say you got to shut down the program, I think is absolutely wrong, just from the facts, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you did mention that there definitely is abuse of the program, and I've seen clips of, I have a clip here of Palmer Luckey, who I think started Anduril, which is an AI company, tech company working with the military. And here's what he had to say.
Of course, there's so much H1B abuse. You would not believe what I saw when I was in Silicon Valley. It is insane. It's obviously a program to try and replace U.S. workers with basically slave labor that can't ever escape. The H1B abuse is crazy. Of course.
So there's definitely abuse happening with it for sure.
Yeah, that's right. And it is possible that Donald Trump's not taking into account the amount of abuse that is actually there. I think Elon Musk has it pretty balanced in terms of what the need is. And of course, he's leading the world in engineering skills and capabilities that he has to have in his companies. I think that there are some good actors like him who know what the problems are, but he keeps advocating for the fact that we still need some of these skilled workers. I think the story here is not as much to beat up on Donald Trump about what he's saying regarding this, because he has some facts right. But I think the bigger thing is we need an aggressive assault on the government monopoly situation when it comes to our education system. We do not train our children well. They are not ready for life. We are very poor in the STEM skill efforts in education, although we've made some strides in changing that problem over the last 10, 15 years. We are inundated still with woke education culture that does not train children how to do things, but seeks to train them how to become something. And that can only change if we get rid of the power position that the teachers unions have over our education system right now, vis-a-vis government monopolies.
Yeah, there definitely needs to be something done with the education system. That is for sure. Well, there's a clip going out here. I guess, I don't even know if I want to play it. J.B. Pritzker is bashing on the 8 Democrat senators who voted to open the government.
And by the way, let's just say the reason you don't want to play a J.B. Pritzker video ever is because it's hard to deal with that amount of fat. That's really the objectionable part, not to mention the stupidity that comes out of his mouth.
You know what? I'll just play it. But watch the kid behind him. You can't tell me that the kid behind him is not his son. I don't know if it is or not, but it's got to be.
Yes, sir. Durbin's vote on Sunday. Can you give us your first reaction on camera to that vote, and what should we make of the fact that the 7 Democrats and 1 independent are either not running imminently or retiring from office?
I have enormous respect and always have for Senator Durbin. I disagree with his vote. I do not think that the 8 members of the Senate that voted the way that they did should have done that. I think that we had an opportunity to make sure that we were protecting people's health care across the nation. But for whatever reason, those members decided to vote the way that they did. I'm disappointed. I think that more could have been done here, but there is another opportunity in January, and we'll see what happens.
Governor, to follow up with that, would you want Senator Durbin to endorse your Senate candidate, Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, or is this endorsement tainted?
I'm not going to speak to that here. I'll just say that I have worked with Senator Durbin over the years. He's a good person. He tries to do the right thing. I don't agree with what he did last Friday. Or a couple of days ago, I guess. I don't agree with what he did, but I respect him, and I'm also, as many of you know, I believe that Juliana Stratton is the right person to replace him in the United States Senate, and she has stood foursquare for restoring health care and restoring SNAP benefits to the people of the state of Illinois.
Well, there you go. He says that this was a point of leverage we had, and by the way, that is not his son behind him.
No.
It looks like it, though.
If genetics are true, then his son has a same frame and build. But I have no problem kind of beating up on J.B. Pritzker. There's so much bad about what goes on in Illinois. And Dick Durbin is no better than J.B. Pritzker, who's no better than any candidate that either of them would endorse to replace Durbin in the Senate. Listen, these guys make this claim of being for health care when Obamacare has literally destroyed American healthcare system, certainly the American healthcare insurance system. It's way too expensive. Nobody can afford it. There is no choice. It reduces the amount of innovation, both in the delivery of healthcare and the ability of us to find new and better treatments. But even worse, Obamacare has destroyed any good efforts and positive efforts that were beginning to emerge in this country for preventative health care. Our entire healthcare system is about being sick. It's not about being healthy. And thank goodness for what RFK Jr. is doing, and Marty McCary and Jay Bhattacharya and everyone else in our healthcare system that Donald Trump has brought on board, because they're trying to reframe this into a health issue. Democrats are not for health. They are for you being unhealthy. They are not for affordability. They are for government control of your health care. Everything that they do is harmful to the American people and to our health, and they need to be called out for it. And that's just one of the main issues that he brought up. But that was a key topic when it came to this government shutdown. They wanted to extend these special extra, what do I want to say, subsidies for Obamacare, because they threw everybody out of their jobs during COVID. No one, or most people, couldn't work and make an income, so they gave them a benefit to pay for their health insurance that they couldn't keep paying for, in a system that has destroyed health care. Andy Biggs, the congressman from Arizona who's running for governor of Arizona now, has a bill he introduced in January that entirely repeals Obamacare. I think we really do need to repeal Obamacare. As bad as the system was from a regulatory framework prior to Obamacare, it's far superior to the situation we've found ourselves under. We need to get back somewhere good so that we can try to get our healthcare system back in line, that more people can be covered, that people who don't want to be covered or feel like they don't need to be covered because they're 25 years old and really healthy don't have to. Obamacare forced a certain group of health insurance plans on everybody. It restricted the free market because you can't go out of the healthcare.gov system and create a healthcare plan that doesn't conform with the Obamacare law. We really are under socialized medicine in this country. We may not realize it, but we are. Very expensive, poor delivery systems, and lack of innovation in better delivery. All things that we used to be really good at in this country, Obamacare destroyed. So I think that's the biggest message related to this government shutdown, and Democrats need this albatross needs to be hung around their neck.
Yep. And when we come back from the break, we have some clips that show that the Democrat Party is trying to shift into the more, I guess, progressive, younger candidates like Mom Donnie, Jasmine Crockett, those types of characters. And you got Bernie Sanders leading the head, pushing for it. So we'll be back in just a moment right after this break.
Consumers often ask, what should I expect when I take the Bella Grace elixir? And the answer's varied. It really depends on what your health and wellness needs are. I would consider this as your foundational core product for a whole range of health and wellness issues. Let me give you a few examples. If you're a little bit older and you have some joint health issues, some problems with mobility and discomfort, the elixir is going to be your best friend. If you have some skin health issues, wrinkles, hydration, aging, all of those elements are going to be benefited from the elixir, including age spots. Now, if you're in a younger demographic, maybe visual health is where you need some assistance. Eye fatigue, dry eyes, all of those are going to be benefited by the elixir. It's a core product because it benefits so many.
All right, welcome back from the break. I want to go to this clip you sent me of Bernie Sanders saying that, well, just listen to what he has to say.
What we have got to do is go above and beyond what happened yesterday, that terrible, terrible vote, and understand that, yes, you have parts of the Democratic establishment who are way, way out of touch with where the American people are or where we have got to go. And our job is to build a political movement. We are doing it with the 3 candidates for the Senate. I expect more to come with many candidates in the House, candidates all over this country running for local office. We're going to build that movement, grassroots movement, to do what Mamdani did in New York City, all over this country. So what we have got.
So they're going to build a movement to do what Mamdani did all over the country.
So a few things on this. First of all, I think that Republicans need to realize one lesson from the elections this year, the off year elections, that they can never forget. It is the economy, stupid. I don't agree with James Carville on a lot of things, but one thing I do agree with is that economic issues are important to the American people. Most folks are not as dug into the day-to-day back and forth of politics like you and I are, of necessity. It's because that's what we do. And it's important for somebody to do that so that the American people don't have to think about it all the time. But they are thinking about it more, and they are engaged in it more because they do feel the pinch in their pocketbook. There's no doubt Donald Trump is making things better in this country. And there's no doubt whatever negatives people try to bring up against him is that he's dealing with a horrible situation that Joe Biden created. And he's absolutely right about that. And we need to remind people. But that does not change the fact that the American people have certain feelings, and those things need about where their economic situation is. And that needs to be addressed. So Mamdani and Bernie Sanders address some of those things in terms of their rhetoric. But what people don't understand is everything they prescribe is disastrous if it ever becomes a reality. So that's one thing. Republicans better understand that and address it well with key legislation this next year. So that's the first point. Second point is this. Bernie Sanders is potentially going to save Republicans from themselves, because they are very good, and I'm talking about congressional Republican leadership, they are very good at snatching defeat out of the jaws of victory. And Bernie Sanders is creating a division in the Democrat Party that is going to have success in certain areas, but is also going to continue the division that happened over this shutdown and the rancor that's happening within Democrat circles. They haven't figured anything out. They don't have a leader, and nothing is clear for them. So that's actually good for Republicans. And but you can't rely on the failures of Democrats to win. Now you got to do things that make that win. The last thing is this. The Democrat Party is the heart of the Democrat Party right now is dedicated to socialism and communism. Hands down. As you've heard me say many times, the Democrat Party is not an American party. And again, I'm not talking about the voters. I'm talking about the elected officials in the Democrat Party. They do not form an American party in any shape or fashion. The Constitution means nothing to them. The principles of the founding are something that they despise and have worked very hard to try to destroy. Just take the 1619 Project, which tried to make us out to be a slaver nation, which we weren't. We had slaves, but we were not a slaver nation. We tried to get rid of it. They are reconstructing the meaning of the Constitution and what we need. In fact, they want to move away from constitutional governments. And then we saw in the Biden administration their efforts to censor the American people, to use lawfare to go after political opponents, and frankly, deconstructing what the executive branch can do, affirming the deep state and using all of the legal authorities to go after political opponents. That's what they stand for. It's very third world. They are not an American party. And this just emphasizes that. The heart of the American party is Jasmine Crockett, AOC, Bernie Sanders, and these types of people. There are no opposing factors in the Democrat Party to that message. There are just weak actors that don't know how to overcome them. So that's what they are about. They are a socialist, Maoist, communist party. That's who they are. Zohran Mamdani is not an aberration except in his manner of politics. When it comes to his policies, they align perfectly with the Democrat Party. And that's what we need to be aware of moving forward and try to communicate to the American people to stay away from.
Yep. And you brought up Jasmine Crockett. I have a clip of her But first, I'm going to play Charlemagne. I guess he's a big podcaster on the left.
Charlemagne the God. That's who that is.
He did a lot of interviews with Kamala during the election, the campaign. But here he is discussing Crockett.
Jasmine Crockett is actually what the Democrats should be leaning into, like, because she is a phenomenal messenger. And some people just got it. Like, some people just have a different anointing on them. You don't know why certain people, cause folks to gravitate towards them. To me, it's more than Jasmine Crockett having that moment with Marjorie Taylor Greene when she was like bad bleach body or whatever it is. Like, if you watch her in these congressional meetings, like, she's always on message about something. I was watching her yesterday and she was, just blatantly, she was like, yo, Donald Trump is racist and this whole administration is racist and it starts at the top. And she just broke down example after example of why she just said what she said. And you heard them gasp at first, but then she broke down example of why she feels the way she feels. But it was all rooted in how, they just don't care about what's going on with the poor and disenfranchised. They don't care that y'all not getting y'all checks, during the government shutdown. They don't care that the SNAP benefits, are going to be gone on November 1st. They don't care about none of that.
They care about that ballroom.
And just the fact that she was able to articulate that in that 3-minute clip that I saw, and it was so powerful and so provocative, and you understood.
All right. Well, there you go. That just shows you, these people are, the face of the Democrat Party. I mean, these are the top. I guess this guy is one of the top podcasters, top voices in the liberal movement, and he's 100% behind Jasmine Crockett. But I have a clip of her talking about what we need to do to why we haven't had a terrorist attack.
Hey, before you go that, let me just address what Charlemagne was saying there. First of all, Jasmine Crockett has some things on her side. She's a very attractive, beautiful lady. But she is very, very mean and rude. And Charlemagne is right. She kind of stays on the message that she has. Here's the problem, though, and this is the problem for Democrats in general. They are absolutely seeking to be destructive in what they promote. What she promotes is a destructive thing. They have not expressed a vision for America other than we're going to throw money your way. Now, that will get to some voters, but that does not capture the heart of the American people. Jasmine Crockett will never catch that. This is the one thing that Charlemagne's missing. And by the way, Charlemagne's not a dumb guy, and he has a very large audience. A lot of folks aren't aware of how large his audience is. It's not maybe as big precisely as Joe Rogan, but it's not too far behind. He's got a really huge following. He has a voice that a lot of people listen to. But the reality is, they do not express vision for America. They only express their anger at Donald Trump. They can't even clearly articulate what it is about Donald Trump other than to call him a racist and Hitler and all this kind of stuff. And that just doesn't fly. So Jasmine Crockett has the skill of being an attractive spokesperson, not just physically attractive, but also attractive in some of her manner and clarity of words coming out of her mouth. It's just that the core of everything that she puts out there is absolutely wrong and consistent with all that's wrong about Democrats. The problem is Republicans don't always have a clear alternative to that. But anyway, that's what I want to say about Jasmine Crockett. Go ahead and play her clip.
Here we go.
One of the reasons people haven't been flying planes into buildings in the United States is because of our soft power, is because of the diplomacy that we were doing, where we were building relationships where people would look at us and say the Americans are good people. Because when we spend money for, say, them to get medicine in their country, it don't cost what it costs here. It costs pennies. That was helping to keep us safe here. Don't let them play you. Don't let them divide you. I don't really care what you think about the LGBTQIA community. I don't really care what you think when it comes to abortion. I don't really care what you think when it comes to immigration. If you allow them to cherry pick you, then at the end of the day, something that you do care about, one of the freedoms that you do hold dear, is going to be under attack.
So the reason the terrorists didn't want to kill us anymore is because we were giving them condoms.
Well, that whole statement was just inane. She didn't even say anything in that. See, that's where the weakness is. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we don't have good relationships with people around the world because we throw money at them. That just doesn't work. I mean, take a look let's just take the example of Gaza. When the Israelis in 2006 handed Gaza over to the Palestinians that live there, they had an infrastructure built whereby they could have had a very strong economy if they had done it. But Hamas, who won their original elections, took all that stuff, sold it off, destroyed it, and the economy there was horrible because of what Hamas was doing. They were given aid constantly by Israel and by the West, which totally went billions of dollars into the hands of their leadership and not to the people. So that's what happens when you give money to countries around the world. And you don't have to give money to free market economies and free societies because they grow and thrive. Okay, so that is not the issue. But even beyond that, she's talking about, I don't care what you say about abortion. I don't care what you say about transgender. They're going to come after the thing you care about. What in the freak does that mean? There's no meaning behind that at all. And that's where her weakness is, because she doesn't really have anything of value. What they do value is power. Bernie Sanders, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, name the leader you want on the Democrat side. They value power. They value running your life. And they do see politics as a transactional thing. I give you money, you vote for me. And if you don't comply, they will come after you and censor you. That's what the Democrats stand for. What Republicans have to do is provide an alternative, which Donald Trump does a whole lot of. I mean, the reason Donald Trump got voted for is because he provided an alternative. But the American people don't always see that as conservative politics. Now, we need to make an argument for free markets and conservative ideas, but we have to do that within the rubric of allowing the American people to see how it benefits them. And that's where we need to tell them a story. Donald Trump tells them a story. Most Republicans are incapable of doing so. So if you want to counter Jasmine Crockett, you have to have ideas that work, tell people how it works for them and let them feel how it works for them, and then go implement it in an honest fashion. That's why, even though they say Donald Trump's numbers are so low, and they're a little bit lower than they were from the beginning, they're still higher than normal because of the fact that he is delivering. Now's the time to shift to the economic wins. And if we can get a few of those, then in spite of themselves, Republicans can maintain control of the Congress.
Yep. Yeah, well, we're all out of time. I had a few more clips to play, some good ones. But the last minute we have, I guess you were talking about how we need to tell them what it is we're doing. And now I guess the White House reports are that Trump is planning to basically travel and speak on affordability across the U.S. So we'll see.
You have to carry the message. There's no way for you to win if you're doing well without telling people how you're winning, and let it be honest. So it's good that he's going to do that. It's going to be necessary.
Yep. Well, we'll be back tomorrow with another report. Go to theconservativecaucus.org, theconservativecaucus.org. Until then, take care.
Go to worldviewtalk.com. Get your satellite phone like I have, because you know what? China is in on our power grid. That is a matter of proven fact. If you want to have communications with your loved ones, your family, your children, maybe your spouse travels, maybe you have a child away at college, you want communication should the grid go down. That's why you need a satellite phone, worldviewtalk.com. But look what else they have. They also have solar generators. I have one of their solar generators. I have the Delta Echo 400, a solar generator. So I can, of course, charge my satellite phone. I can run my coffee pot. I can run my whole house if I want to. All the details are there at worldviewtalk.com, or use that number, 1-866-738-3224. They have very friendly operators that will explain to you their products, but you can explain to them what it is you're desiring to acquire. How much electricity are you wanting to generate with this solar generator? Well, they'll tell you what size you need. Worldviewtalk.com or 1-866-738-3224. Do you know about glutathione? You can't live without it. It's a naturally occurring ingredient in your body. But guess what? It starts to decrease around the age